Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, I'm going to do a series of live streams tonight on a couple of topics, and I hope that you all can join this live and tell me what you all think about the issues being discussed. There's a wide range of issues that I want to talk about tonight. The first one deals with Diamond and Silk and their claims of racism. They are claiming that Fox News was racist. I mean, they're trying to do it in a sneaky kind of way, just not being upfront about this, but they're suggesting that Fox News is racist. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and read from this article that I saw on the Griot. So if you can bear with me a second, I'm going to share my screen and we can get right into it. So here's the article. I'm going to increase the size of it so it's easier to read. So this is from the Griot. It says Diamond and Silk questions systemic racism at Fox News after being asked. So it says that they have a book coming out. And in this book, Diamond and Silk are claiming that Fox News pushed them out after they dared to ask questions that were posed by white personalities on the network. So here's what they say. It says, here's the crazy thing, Silk says in the book. Fox News hosts like Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, and Laura Ingraham were questioning the same things we were questioning about the virus and the pandemic. The very same questions we had raised were being discussed openly on Fox News. And then they went on to say this, when you think about it, was this part of the systemic racism that everyone was talking about? And let's see if there are any other points that I wanted to raise from this. It says the sisters were let go from Fox Nation, where videos were regularly posted after spreading conspiracy theories about the coronavirus pandemic. They claimed that the virus was being deliberately spread to make President Donald Trump look bad. I mean, it's so ridiculous. It says, they also pushed other popular right-wing conspiracies like 5G technology being used to infect people and vaccines were being used for population control. And the funny thing about that is those are popular ridiculous conspiracy theories that you hear on Facebook and you hear them here on YouTube. There's a lot of personalities that put out this nonsense. And a lot of them are black people. A lot of them aren't, conservatives and stuff like that. Some of them are, these quote unquote woke people putting out this nonsense. So they lost this job and now they're crying racism. And I'm going to get to that in a second. So that's basically what they're saying. And then they said, we understand that during an election year, one of the tactics from the left is to silence the voices making the most impact. We're not saying that that's what Fox did, but it damn sure felt like it. So they're trying to accuse Fox of being left wing as well. That's what they're trying to say. So let me stop sharing my screen for a second and just share my brief thoughts about this. I want to thank the people for tuning in. First of all, with these conservatives, it's like they don't care nothing about racism. They don't speak out against racism. They don't challenge racism. The only time these conservatives give a damn about racism is when it affects them personally. And we've seen this time and time again. These same people, like the Diamond and Silks of the world, are the same people that defend racists. Here you have these buck dancing buffoons and bootlickers, kissing Donald Trump's ass, literally on stage tap dancing for this man. going all over the country and all over the, world online defending this guy. A man that is, referred to black protesters at these NFL games as sons of bitches, but they're defending this guy. A man who has called upon his rally supporters to attack black protesters, but these buck dancing buffoons defend this guy. A man who has attacked affirmative action. A man who has shown his complete disregard for the issue of police brutality by joking about police brutality, by saying that police brutality is some local issue, but yet and still you had these buffoons, these damn coons defending this man. A man who has, implemented other racist policies. A man that's attacked voting rights. A man that's, made racist statements about black people, talking about black people, suggesting that black people are stupid, talking about black people, in these countries, like, African countries, referring them to them as shithole countries, referring to Haiti as a shithole country. We're talking about a man who took out a full page ad, calling for the death penalty to be imposed against those brothers who were falsely accused of the Central Park rape. This is the man that these women defended. This is the man that these coons have been defending and supporting and all that kind of stuff. And now all of a sudden they want to be concerned about racism. A man who referred to Mexicans as rapists and criminals and all that kind of stuff. This is the man that they defended. And now all of a sudden they want to cry racism. Cry racism against the Fox News channel. And I'm going to get into that in a second. But you got this man that got a long, long track record of racism and bigotry towards black people, but yet and still these women defended this man and continue to defend him today. In the face of everything, defending this man repeatedly, despite all this racism. Despite, the fact that this man was sued twice for housing discrimination, despite the fact that this man is on record recently talking about protecting suburban, housewives from people trying to get affordable housing in these suburban communities, basically talking about protecting these suburban housewives from black people. That's what he's talking about. This is a man who said only black people live like this, when going through slums in Chicago. This man has said all kinds of racist and bigoted things, but yet these women stand by his side. Yet these women defend him. And now all of a sudden they acting like they're concerned about racism only because it's affecting them. When you had these people protesting against police brutality, when you had the Black Lives Matter movement protesting against police brutality, when you had people speaking out against police brutality, these women were nowhere to be found. These women, all they did was condemn, protesters and stuff like that. All they did was condemn people that were a part of the movement. In fact, I'm going to pull up some of the stuff that they said. But I'm going to pull up an article in a second, but you got all this man with this huge track record of racism, but yet these women defend him. A man who said that those bigots and racists and white supremacists in Charlottesville were some very fine people, but yet and still you had these buffoons, these damn clowns, these bootlickers and ass kissers, Diamond and Silk defending these people, defending Donald Trump and defending these other right-wing racist bastards. But now they want to pretend like they're all concerned about racism only because it's affecting them. And we see this time and time again. This is not something that's limited to Diamond and Silk. We saw this with that Uncle Tom, Justice Clarence Thomas. He was whining about some high-tech lynching, during the time when they had those confirmation hearings and he was being questioned about allegations of sexual harassment. he wanted to be black then. But before then and after then, he doesn't care anything, didn't care nothing about race. Before that, those hearings took place, didn't care nothing about race after those hearings took place. Race only mattered when it impacted him. You know, here he has like all these Supreme Court cases that come before him dealing with race, whether we're talking about affirmative action, whether we're talking about criminal justice, whether we're talking about all kinds of different programs. That damn bootlicking coon, Justice Thomas, voted against the interests of black people in all those important cases. Whether we're talking about voting rights cases, this man helped to gut the Voting Rights Act. But yet back in the day, he was talking about some high-tech lynching. That's how these coons do. They are only interested in their own self-interest. That's the only time race becomes an issue for them. And here we see it again with these buffoons, these mammies, Diamond and Silk. You know, you had the same situation with people like a Candace Owens. Before she became, you know, a professional coon, and that's what she is, a professional buffoon, a professional bootlicker, a mouthpiece for white supremacy. Before she became that, you know, she was complaining about racism at her high school. She was complaining about racism at her high school and was talking about bringing some lawsuit and all this and that against against her high school for racism and bigotry and all that kind of stuff, for them failing to take appropriate action. And at that time, she called upon civil rights groups like the local NAACP, called on these groups. At that time, race was an issue that was important to her because it affected her as an individual. But all of a sudden, she has a loss of memory. All of a sudden, racism isn't real. Like, she's done all these videos talking about racism isn't the biggest problem facing black people. All these videos and all these talks and all these interviews downplaying the significance of race, downplaying police brutality, all this stuff, defending racist cops that kill black people, attacking victims of police brutality and victims of white racist vigilantism. That's what Candace Owens has done. It's like racism only matters again when these white supremacist mouthpieces become victims of it. When they are personally impacted by racism, all of a sudden they care about it. She didn't care nothing about racism. You know, she didn't, you know, like now after, you know, she's, you know, become this professional and has all this prestige, she don't care nothing about racism. But when it affected her back in high school, it was some major issue. It was something worthy of, you know, press conferences and all that kind of stuff. Something that was so urgent, she had to call on civil rights groups. But today she condemns those very same civil rights organizations that she reached out to and called upon to help her. That's just what she, you know, and it just shows you how hypocritical these far right conservatives are. You know, these coons, all of a sudden they want to be black when something is impacting them personally. They don't give a damn about black people as a whole. And then you also have this situation like this, man. You have Fox News. These Diamond and Silk, all of a sudden they've realized that Fox News is racist only because it impacted them. I mean, Fox News has been racist forever. You know, Fox News is a racist network that panders to white supremacists. You know, they're always making, you know, racially insensitive comments on there, always making degrading comments about African Americans, always downplaying these cases of police brutality, making excuses for these damn pigs to kill our people, you know. And that guy Tucker Carlson, or whatever his name is, let me see. Just hold on one sec. Yeah, that guy Tucker Carlson. He literally had a white supremacist writing his material for him on his program. And that white supremacist recently, you know, within the last month or so, resigned after it had been exposed that he was making all these racist comments on, different websites and all that kind of stuff. Fox News literally had a white supremacist writing, scripts for Tucker Carlson. And you got these buffoons all of a sudden realizing that Fox News is racist. That just shows you how lost these people are. It shows you how individualistic they are, like how self-centered they are. They didn't care nothing about racism as long as it wasn't affecting them personally. They didn't care nothing about joining a network that regularly bashes Black people and other so-called minorities. They didn't have no problem joining that network. Joining a network that regularly features these damn coons and buffoons that they use as mouthpieces for white supremacy, these buffer Negroes that they put out there to make all these disparaging remarks about Black people. So, when they put these types of Negroes out front, when they put these types of puppets and buffoons out front, it's hard to accuse them of racism because a lot of these racist talking points are coming from the mouths of from Black people, coming from the mouths of Black people, white talking points, white racist talking points coming from the mouths of Black people. People like, that lady from Clueless, Stacey Dash. People like a Candace Owens, a regular guest on Fox News, making all kinds of racist and, stereotypical statements about Black people. And then even people like this Diamond and Silk. So, I mean, the fact that they're acting all surprised and acting like, they had no idea that Fox News was racist or, all of a sudden it dawns on them because they lost their job. Because they lost their job, all of a sudden they care about this stuff because it's affecting them as individuals. And that's, the last point I want to make on this, and, shout out to everybody tuning in. The last point that I want to make about this is that, these Negro mouthpieces get comfortable. They get in these environments and they assume that they're equal with these white racist bastards that they work with. They assume that because they have been let into this racist network, or because they've been given some kind of position and status and stuff like that, they start to think that they're honorary white people. They start to think that they can do whatever they want, not realizing the whole time that they're just another nigga in the minds of these white racists, just like any other Black person. They just are clueless to that fact. So they think that they could do and say what they see these other white people doing, thinking they could say, put out here these ridiculous, nonsensical conspiracy theories and stuff like that. And they think that they'll be okay in their position and stuff like that. And this is what ends up happening to them. They're getting fired. And you had another case, you had this Black man, I can't remember his full name, but it was like Kevin something or whatever. And this guy thought that he could make disparaging remarks about white women and keep his job. Like he thought that, hey, I'm an honorary white man. I've been on here, this Black guy was like saying all these derogatory things about his own people. And Fox News had no problem with him. They were cool with him disparaging Black people. But that Negro got out of pocket as far as they were concerned when he started talking about some white women, making disparaging remarks about white women, and they cut that Negro off quick. And we've seen this time and time again. Like, you had that conservative guy that was like on CNN, who was shucking and jiving and cooning for Trump on every single broadcast and stuff like that. They got rid of him too. So these people aren't safe. These coons and stuff like that think that they're safe and all that kind of stuff because they're doing the bidding of white supremacy. I'm pretty sure that those white supremacists have less respect for those coons than they do for people that are standing up and speaking out against them. Nobody respects a traitor. Nobody respects a turncoat. Nobody respects a sellout, even the people that use sellouts and turncoats and rats and stuff like that. And that's what these people are. Diamond and Silk, They are despicable. They're nothing but buck dancing mammies for white supremacy. And I don't give a damn about them losing their job at Fox News. You know, these people are an embarrassment to the black race. You know, running around putting on a modern day minstrel show on TV and online. And they got the nerve to be complaining about racism when they are perpetuating racist stereotypes about black women and black people. On here, on there, you know, on those news shows and on YouTube, basically performing like a modern day version of Amos and Andy or a modern day version of Step It, Fetch It. You know, these people are despicable. And I'm just glad that they lost their job. And, you know, I encourage people not to buy their book, even out of curiosity. So those are my thoughts about that. You know, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Yeah, that's his name. Park Denard, I think. Yeah, I think you got it right. Yeah, but I have to, you know, thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to be back on here with a couple of more live streams tonight. Unfortunately, I'm not going to. Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, his name is Kevin Jackson. Yeah, that's right. Thanks for letting me know that, T-Boy. I appreciate it. Yeah, but y'all know what's going on. But yeah, I'll be back up here. There's a couple of other things that I want to talk about. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I want to talk about Yvette Carnell's interview on CNN, share my thoughts. I'm going to play the audio from that interview and respond to some of the things that she was saying on there. Also, I'm going to talk about Nick Cannon. He had an interview that he did online with the American Jewish Center. I think that's the name of the group. And, you know, he was talking to this rabbi and they brought up the question of Minister Louis Farrakhan. So if I have time, I'll do that as well. And there may be a couple of other topics. So please rate, comment, subscribe, like the video, share the video, hit that notification bell so that you'll know when I post new content on here. Peace and blessings, everyone. Have a great evening. I'll see you in a few. Hopefully y'all can hang with me tonight. Peace.